Sport Extra Time. I'm Mike Graham, and once again, I find myself delighted to be in the company of Mr. Mike Porky Parry, who's here for his first visit of the week. A very good morning to you, Mr. Parry.
A very good morning to you as well, Mike. Great to be here, and wow, the world of football is a buzz and a light again.
Is it?
After the awards tonight.
Yeah, the awards were very moving, weren't they? Cristiano Ronaldo getting up there. I was quite moved, actually, by that, I have to say. I mean, he was very overwhelmed. I mean, you have to say that it takes Lionel Messi not to be playing for him to actually win one. But when you think of the number of years that he's come second, and he's been the bridesmaid, never the bride, as it were.
Four previous years, I think.
Yeah, and he had his little boy there with him. And
well, I see, that was a bit of a mess. See, I don't think children and sport at the highest level mix. For years, I've had this thing about all these players in the Champions League holding hands with a little child and leading it out onto the pitch, one each. I mean, you know, some 25 kids there, traumatised by the prospect.
They're not traumatised.
Of course they are. They're going out into a stadium.
It's probably the biggest highlight of their lives so far.
With sometimes 90,000 people there all shouting and screaming, and they're being led by the hand by these gigantic footballers, and I all think it's a bit too much, and I think there should be a clampdown on it. And then
I thought you were going to say when the players bring their kids on at the end of the season and all that, when they win the cup and all that kind of thing.
Well,
no, I would agree with you on that, because I think perhaps there's no place for children to be on the pitch. But
Dennis
they're little mascots, though, surely, that's right.
Dennis Wise started it all those years ago, taking his kid up to the top of the steps at the old Wembley when he won the cup, and it was so ridiculous. He had his child in one hand, and he was holding the FA Cup, which has got two handles on it, with one hand in the other hand. It was ludicrous. But no, I mean, getting back to it, and old Ronaldo goes up, and then, I mean, two things about it hit me, which, you know, maybe I'm just old-fashioned, but why was Ronaldo wearing earrings for this award ceremony?
Because he wears earrings.
I find it incredibly odd.
Loads of people wear earrings. I was looking at a picture of Chris Martin the other day with Gwyneth Paltrow. He's got an earring as well.
Well, one earring, maybe, but two earrings. I remember David
Do you know
Beckham
who Chris Martin is?
Coldplay.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So you didn't react. You did that blank thing with me.
No.
You just want to move on. So I thought I might be able to catch you out.
No. I'm very deceptive in my
deceptive
the amount of knowledge I have in my head.
Deceptive. Sure, that's what you mean.
Something like that. What do I mean?
I don't know what you mean.
I think I mean deceptive. Anyway, point is, I remember Beckham after one England game when he was captain. He came off the pitch, you know, and he's all hot and sweaty.
Burst into tears.
No, didn't burst into tears. But 2 minutes later, he was interviewed in the tunnel, and he had two huge earrings he'd put on. So he'd actually got into the dressing room.
Lots of men wear earrings now. It's 2014. It's not 1965.
It's not for me.
Well, I don't think you should wear earrings. I think if old men wear earrings, they look ridiculous.
Well, I do as well. I do. But so Ronaldo, so then the tears start flowing. Okay, it's an emotional night. He's world player, all that. Now he's got a little boy with him. And his little boy was so tiny he couldn't see above the podium. They're all standing behind.
And also the little boy looked like he'd made a run for it, because presumably he was sitting with his family, and then he kind of appears as if he's just literally made a run for it. Children do that.
But then Pele, you know, the great, who's given an award for being the greatest player of all time, then decides to lift the little boy up so his head's above the podium. But eventually Pele thinks, this kid's too heavy, I've got to drop him. And he drops him. But I thought it was amazing. Listen, we've got to get into who actually won it, because all day I've been getting dogs abuse from people. I said Ribery should get this award.
Was never going to win it, though, was he?
Well,
because it's Cristiano Ronaldo's turn. That's basically why he got it.
OK, let me give you some facts and figures about Ribery. For instance, dribbles and runs. Ribery, 1,084. Ronaldo, 252. Pass completion. Ribery, 86%. Ronaldo, 79%. Chance conversion. Ribery, 24%. Ronaldo, 22%. In every area.
Well, how many goals has Ribery scored?
It doesn't matter. Ribery's not a forward. Ronaldo's a forward.
He's not a forward. What is he then?
Ribery's a midfield player.
He's a winger, surely.
He's a midfield player.
He's always up and down the wing.
Wingers are midfield players these days. You know that as well as I do. But listen...
so he scored less goals than Ronaldo. 69 goals in 59 games. But anyway, and he also single-handedly got Portugal to the World Cup.
Anyway...
I don't think there's any contest at all.
I think Ribery should have got it. But I'm not alone in that. I'm not alone in that, because I'm just looking at this morning's, that is Tuesday morning's Telegraph, right? One of the most respected newspaper journalists in this country, Henry Winter, Football Writer of the Year. Why I cast my vote for Ribery, the key player in Best Team of the Year. 3 big medals were compelling evidence that the Frenchman was the world footballer of 2013. So it's not me. It's not just me saying it. An expert, Henry Winter,
plenty
is
of people
also
voted for Frank
saying
Ribery.
it.
Well, he got quite a lot of votes. He just didn't get as many as Cristiano Ronaldo.
Well, to me, this is another discriminatory issue. It's discriminatory because this is...
Are you knocking on the table?
Sorry, I was just tapping on the table.
There was somebody at the door.
No, sorry,
you're knocking on the table for?
Because I'm trying to endorse my point, and my point is this. This is a clear case of uglyism. because Frank Ribery is an ugly man, right? Now,
well, there's a reason for that, as you well know. It's been pointed out to you in the past when you were having a go at Frank Ribery because of the way he looked. He was in a terrible car crash when he was a young man, and unfortunately, that's as a result of the reconstructive surgery that he had to have done. That's why he looks like that.
It's not. This is utter nonsense. Can I give you the facts of the situation? It's nonsense.
Well, you said it didn't happen.
No, he was in a car accident when he was a kid, and he had 100 stitches down the side of his face.
Yeah.
That was all.
I mean, that was all.
Because the bone structure of his face did not alter. It did not reshape his face. His face has always been the shape it is now, ever since he was a kid.
Shape of his face.
Well, no, but it's
not as handsome as Cristiano Ronaldo, but then not many people are.
Exactly, but he has accentuated bone structure in his face. Now, that didn't come about as a result of the car crash, which is, of course, is a very regrettable thing for a child to have to go through. The car crash did cause him facial injuries, but only to the extent where he needed stitches to repair those facial injuries. They did not need cranial or reconstructive surgery to his face. So all those people who abused me and said, how can you be so cruel, calling Frank Ribery ugly? It's not because of the car crash. He's always been like that.
Well,
his father looks like that.
So what you're basically saying is Cristiano Ronaldo has been given the award because he's more glamorous.
Well, I said in a tweet today, I said another victory for the pretty boys. And that's exactly what I mean.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think Cristiano Ronaldo deserves it. I think he's certainly proved his worth. If not, even if nothing else had happened, if he hadn't just scored the 69 goals in 59 games, he has done single-handedly for Portugal, who were looking like they weren't going to the World Cup, and it was going to be Sweden instead. I mean, that was amazing. I was watching some of the goals that he scored over the last few hours, and that match as well, where it was literally like Roy of the Rovers.
I agree with all that. But the point is, everything goes through Ronaldo in that Real Madrid team because he's actually 10 times better than most of the players in that team. Whereas Ribery plays in a team which has got probably 4 or 5...
Are you talking about Real Madrid, or are you talking about Bayern Munich? Or are you talking about Portugal?
No, I'm saying that when Ronaldo plays for Real Madrid, he's about 10 times better than any other player in the team. That's why he scores all the goals, because they all funnel them to him. Whereas Ribery is the equal of 4 or 5 other players in that Bayern Munich team, 4, I think, of whom were named in the World 11 anyway.
The World FIFA 11, yeah. What do you reckon about there being no Premier League players in that?
Well, it's a bit worrying. Bit worrying, that, really, isn't it? It makes you wonder whether some of the world's great players come to the Premier League a little too late in their career, you know what I mean? A little bit towards the end of the career, although Manchester City would counteract that. Okay?
You would think so. I mean,
and
you think
Chelsea,
Yaya Toure might make his way into that team.
And Chelsea might counteract it as
well. Why are you doing that strange thing with your finger?
Sorry, because I'm just pointing out to you that I've just come up with a unique point which you hadn't thought of.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, I hadn't thought of that. No. I suspect it's more to do with the fact that FIFA, as a general organisation, I wouldn't say is discriminatory against English football, but it's not absolutely over keen.
I agree. When you see Michel Platini and old Sepp Blatter on the same... by the way, I thought the guy who hosted it, Ruud Gullit, was excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent in his delivery of the English language, excellent in the way he organised things. He looked good. I thought he was an excellent host. He's a real find. That boy should be on more football panels. Now, what about the other football issue tonight, eh?
What is the other football issue tonight?
Well, the old Arsenal now going back to the top of the Premier League.
Do you know that the top 4, as I predicted it would be at the end of the season a few weeks ago, is now back to the way it was, because it was quite a lot of movement over the weekend. And Arsenal, Manchester City, Chelsea, Liverpool. That's how I think it's going to be at the end of the season.
And when did you predict that?
Oh, it's about a month or so ago.
Oh, yeah, so not at the start of the season.
Not at the start of the season,
no, of course not. You couldn't see that far ahead.
It was at least a month or maybe 6 weeks ago.
Well, all the 7 top teams, of course, won. Now, I was watching that game tonight, and as you know, Mike, I'm a trained observer.
I do know that.
You're supposed to be a trained observer, but I just don't think you're as observant as me. Now, what do I hear in the crowd? I hear the Arsenal crowd singing, da 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 Giroud.
Yes, they've been singing that for a while.
Now, what is that?
It's Hey Jude.
Exactly. No, isn't that sacrilege? Isn't that sacrilege?
Well, no.
I think it is sacrilege.
I think it's rather nice to hear a pleasant chant from the fans, which is not something that we have to be critical of.
Hey Jude, one of the greatest songs ever written, and for it to be desecrated on football terraces like that, I think it should be banned. I think McCartney's peeps should ring up and say, listen, pack it in. Well, a few years ago, I got myself into trouble. I wrote I wrote a little ditty about Hey Jude, but unfortunately, I got it in the wrong context. I mean, you can make up little ditties about pop songs and sing them out, no problem at all.
Well, there's a lot of football chants based on pop songs,
somebody tried to make some commercial gain, I think, out of the ditty I wrote, and we got ourselves in a bit of trouble. A lawyer rang up from New York, and it was basically, Mr. Parry, you shouldn't be doing this. The last guy who did this is now subject of a $3 billion lawsuit. He said, do you have $3 billion, Mr. Parry? And I said, well, not last time I looked. But all he was arguing about was this.
It's one thing to sing a song on a terraces of a football stadium, but I mean, if you turn the song into some kind of commercial advertisement, then you have to pay somebody some royalties for that.
It'd be a bit silly considering it's one of the most successful records of all time.
Yeah.
But here's my ditty. I'm going to sing it to you because you'll like it. It was just after Sven got the England job.
Have you pre-arranged for somebody to play music on this?
No. But here, I'll sing it to you. It went like this. Hey, Sven, don't be afraid. We are losers, but you can change us. The minute you show us all how to win, then we'll begin to get much better.
Dear me. Well, that's enough of that.
So that's good.
No, it's really not a bad piece of singing, actually.
Yeah, that's right, absolutely. Because that happened just after we lost to Germany at Wembley, and Kevin Keegan resigned. So that's why I refer to "Don't be afraid, we're losers."
So did it actually get some airtime, this thing, and then you had it all shut down by the lawyers?
Somebody took it off and put it into some advert or something like that. But anyway, that doesn't matter. It's all gone. Yeah. I wasn't guilty of anything. Neither was TalkSport. We keep the right side of the law at this radio station. But I just thought you'd like to know that.
Yeah, okay? Well, amazingly, I had never heard that, so I'd probably not like to hear it ever again, really. But,
the other thing about Cristiano Ronaldo was that, am I right in thinking, I mean, he looked very smart, obviously.
Well, he was wearing a lovely sort of, classic tuxedo outfit, right? But did you see Lionel Messi's? People were saying he looked like something that Ron Burgundy would wear. He was wearing this bizarre burgundy. Apparently, it was Dolce & Gabbana, but he always wears these weird tuxedos when he goes to the Ballon.
Oh, really? No, I'm not sure I did. But what I'm saying is...
Well, didn't you watch? You watched the whole thing.
Yes, I did, but you only ever saw Messi sitting down because he didn't get up.
Well, he's wearing a purple jacket.
Yeah, all right, he was wearing a purple jacket. So what?
Well, it's a bit of an unusual colour.
Did you see the lady who was the World Woman Footballer of the Year?
I didn't see that, no.
She's a German goalkeeper.
Her woman is Nadine Angerer.
Yeah, she's a German goalkeeper.
Is she?
Right?
Yeah.
And I
didn't see that bit.
They showed you some action from her, and I mean, some of her saves were quite spectacular. Quite like remember Peter Bonetti, the cat? That's right, yeah, a bit like that and all kinds of stuff. But she turned up in a really bizarre outfit. She had a trilby hat on. And so you could say, maybe that's a stroke of her masculine side or something like that. But then, when she stood up, she had a jacket on which was sort of split right down to her navel.
A plunging neckline.
And exhibiting a little bit of her sort of... Cleavage, that's right, yeah. So,
it's all right to say that.
But I thought she was quite cool.
Yeah.
I thought,
And what was she wearing, trousers with it then, or a skirt?
I don't know, I didn't see below her waist, to be honest. No. I'm not sure she went up on the stage, but I think she played 150 times for Germany. So, you have to say, quite an outstanding achievement and well won. And then, of course, Pele got World Footballer of the Year. Why have they waited 60 years to give Pele World Footballer of the Year status?
Well, he got prix d'honneur, I think it's called. So it's probably like a lifetime achievement
prix
award.
D'honneur, that's right.
Like a lifetime achievement award. So if he hasn't got it yet, then I suppose that's why they decided to give it to him.
I know, but I mean, he got all these other lifetime achievement awards about 35 years ago.
Well, maybe they had to give him that in order to promise that he would turn up. Because he come from a long way away. Sometimes they have to do that, where they have to say, look, we have to give the guy something. He's come all this way.
It's true. He's. Is he still Minister of Sport in Brazil?
I've no idea.
And World Ambassador for FIFA and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, I think he's all of that, isn't he? Yeah. But
he's never won the Ballon d'Or, has he?
Well, that's because he didn't play in Europe.
That's what I mean.
He didn't play in Europe, and this is why I sometimes argue, is Pele really the greatest player ever? Because if he didn't play in Europe, he might have scored 1,000 goals, but you've got to remember, he scored some of those 1,000 goals on dirt-poor pitches, 50 miles inside the Amazon jungle.
Yeah, but nobody's going to question how great Pele was as a player.
Well, no, you're not.
Because also, if you look back to the World Cup in '66, I mean, the amount of injuries that he was
booted out of it.
He was just kicked around the field, wasn't he, everywhere?
And sadly, he was booted out of it at Goodison Park, which, of course, is the home ground of my club. If anybody ever says to me who's the greatest player ever in my lifetime, I always say George Best. Do you? Because I think George Best was.
But the trouble with George Best is he never played at a World Cup, so because he played for Northern Ireland, he could never really get himself to a World Cup. It's a big shame, really.
Yeah, and people say, well,
And his career was short as well, wasn't it?
Shortish. Well, you say that, but I mean, he was 27 when he quit football at the highest level, but by then he'd already won 2 league championships, the European Cup, and he didn't win an FA Cup. He didn't play in '63. But anyway, he was outstandingly good. And the point is, because Pele never played in Europe, he never got a chance to win the Ballon d'Or, so they changed the rules.
So that's why
now.
They've given him this one, then?
Yeah, they changed the rules and made it world player rather than players in Europe and all that. Because at the end of the day, all great footballers, no matter where they come from, Africa, South America, Australasia, Southeast Asia, they end up in Europe.
I thought you were going to list all the continents there, but you stopped at 4 places.
Yeah, they all end up in Europe because if you're any good, you play in Europe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do
you play in the Premier League? That's the other question.
Well, yeah, that's a very good point, because none of the Premier League players are in the World 11, which I have to say, slightly worrying.
It is slightly worrying. Right, Porky Parry and I, Mike Graham, will be back next after this. This is Talk Sports Extra Time. I'm Mike Graham. He is Mike Parry. We are the two Mikes. There will be an iTunes podcast, I should say, coming up in a few hours' time. The point about the playing of the music behind you singing that song, by the way, was so that you would somehow sync with the music, so that you would sing along with the chorus, instead of which you just kind of sang over it, as if you couldn't hear the music.
Well, no, I had to, because I had my own little ditty, and unfortunately, if the engineers can't put the song into sync with me, then that ain't my fault.
Yeah, see, that's typical of you, isn't it? You know, you're just going to go your own way, and you're not going to care about anybody else and all the work they're putting in behind the glass and all of that. So just forget about them.
You're saying now that it's arrogant of me to expect Paul McCartney to fall in step with me, rather than me fall in step with Paul McCartney.
It is rather.
Well, I agree. There's a level of misunderstanding there.
Yes, there is. Well, I'm glad that you didn't start singing it again anyway. Let's talk about at the weekend, because the Golden Globes happened over the weekend, and you told me just before the weekend that you were going to go and see a movie. So which one did you see? Because I presume you saw one that was one of the big ones that's out and may have won an award.
Well, the film I wanted to go and see was The Wolfman of Wall Street, because I've read the reviews
of it.
Wolfman
of Wall Street.
Wolfman of Wall Street, it's called, isn't it?
I don't think it's called The Wolfman
What's it
of
called?
Wall Street. I think it's The Wolf of Wall Street.
I think it's The Wolfman.
It's not a horror film.
No, I think it's called The Wolfman of Wall Street.
No, it's The Wolf of Wall Street.
I think it's called The Wolfman, because you and I used to work with a guy in Fleet Street who was known as Wolfman.
Yeah, but it's not about him.
Oh, it's the Wolf. I've just been told it's the Wolf.
It is the Wolf of Wall Street. Why don't you believe me? I know it's the Wolf of Wall Street.
All right, it's the Wolf of Wall Street. Right.
So you went to see that then? Anyway.
So anyway, I go.
You must have been disappointed when there wasn't Lon Chaney wasn't in it, and there was no werewolf emerging from behind, the stock exchange.
No. I knew what it was all about, because I read the reviews. I read reviews assiduously. Book reviews, film reviews, and all that kind of stuff. Okay. So I go into the theatre and I look up and I see the poster, and there's a picture there of a bloke who looks like a wolf, big glasses, but big thick beard and all that. So I dash forward.
Well, you're talking about Leonardo DiCaprio?
Well, I didn't know he was in it, to be honest. I just thought it was a great film. So anyway, I see this wolf-like figure. I think that's the one. So I go, yes, screen 8, please. And I got my bag of licorice all sorts. And,
did you get those from the pick and mix?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I did, yeah.
It's always difficult to know how many pick and mix things to put in a bag, isn't it?
Actually, yeah.
Because when I go with my kids, I always buy ridiculous amounts of pick and mix, and we've actually got it for about 3 weeks afterwards. Because you never, the bags are designed so that you put. I mean, I went up once to pay for it. It was about £7.
Oh, I can't believe it. I think I had 10 quid's worth once, and you get licorice all sorts. But then I like the yellow bananas. You know the bananas?
Oh yeah.
Sweet bananas, obviously not real bananas. No. And I also like the pink shrimps. I love them as well.
Yeah.
So a few.
What about the Coke bottles?
I like Coke bottles, but they stick on my teeth a bit. Right. But also like those long red things that are white in the middle.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? To get a few of those.
Yeah.
And I love also things like dolly mixtures.
Because you've got any teeth left.
It's absolutely right. Yeah.
So did you just get licorice all sorts then?
No, I didn't. I got all the rest of the stuff as well, but I start with the licorice all sorts, because they're black in your teeth.
It's delightful sitting next to you in the cinema.
Yeah, well, that's
right. Was it busy?
Yeah. Anyway, I dash in and I started, and then there's always about 20 minutes of garbage that comes on before the film.
It's called adverts.
Yeah, that's right. And
trailers for other films. Well, the good thing about that is then you can see something that you might want to see that's coming up next.
Yeah. But anyway, so this trailer comes on, and believe it or not, this trailer is for The Wolf of Wall Street.
Right.
And I thought, how strange having a trailer for a film that's just about to come on.
Yeah, that is a bit odd.
But anyway, when the film came
Must have been a mistake.
Well, no, it wasn't The Wolf of Wall Street that I'd paid to watch. It was American Hustle.
Oh.
And the guy that I looked at who thought was the wolf was the star of American Hustle, who did have a big beard and looked like a wolf, so I got the wrong film.
Well, I think you've been confused by the use of the word wolf. I mean, it's got nothing to do with a man with a beard. It's got nothing to do with the fact that he's a wolf man or anything like that. Yeah. It has everything to do with the fact that he's an ex-trader. It's supposed to be a real story. It's based on a real story. Martin Scorsese film. It's got Leonardo DiCaprio in it, who doesn't have a beard, and he's just this trader who has this mad life in the 80s of sort of sex and drugs and rock and roll.
Yeah, it sounds just great. It's we'd all like to live that lifestyle.
It's 3 hours long as well, by the way.
I was about to say, it's 3 continuous hours, so don't go to the pub before the show.
Is that what you did?
See it. Yeah, of course.
Would that explain why you went to the wrong movie?
Not really.
Well, at what point did you realise it was a wrong film? I bet you didn't realise for ages.
Well, it doesn't start with its titles anyway, and then you see a bit of it, and it comes up, and then it says American Hustle, and I suddenly realise. Anyway, the point of the story is It was a complete waste of time because it was a dreadful film in my view. Oh, dreadful.
Well, it just won 3 Golden Globes.
I know. This is the point. The Golden Globes were on last night, and all of a sudden, American Hustle, American Hustle, American Hustle. And I thought, God, what a load of garbage. Because it was a dreadful film. It was full of, what we would call Manhattan-type clever speak. You know what I mean? People just throw, very short staccato 20-second sentences at each other,
But it's all about the 70s, isn't it?
Was it? I don't know. I can't remember now.
Well, what decade do you think it was set? Did you not sit through the whole thing then?
No, I left after an hour. It was so bad, and I bought an executive seat. So a big, comfortable seat.
An executive seat?
Yeah,
I didn't know you could get those in a cinema.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, absolutely. It's like
it's like going first class in a cinema.
Yes, and
your snobbishness knows no bounds.
No, and
well, what else do you get for an executive seat?
You get a reserved seat, so somebody else is sitting, you can throw them out. You say that's my seat. You see what I mean?
Is it like they're all numbered?
Yeah, they're numbered. Yeah, it's like I was thinking I was on row 12C or something like that. You know what I mean?
Really?
Sat there.
I've never heard of such a thing.
Nobody else around me because nobody else had bought an executive seat. So I had plenty of
space.
space.
So what's the advantage of sitting in one of these seats?
It's more comfortable, and it's right in the middle, and you see directly at the screen. But it was a waste of time and a waste of space because I didn't like the film at all.
How much is one of these seats then?
About £8.60.
Really?
Or something like that. How much does a normal ticket cost?
They're about £7, I think. Now.
You're
not getting much. You're not paying much extra.
No, about £8.60, something like that.
Are you sure they weren't just conning you? Telling you it was the executive seat because we know how much you like to have first-class travel, Mr. Barry.
No. The whole bill for the ticket, the bag of sweets, and a drink was just over £20.
So you went on your own?
Oh, yes, I did.
Didn't you find anyone to take with you?
It's not that I take them with me. It's just
who wants to go to the cinema on their own? That's bizarre behaviour.
I wanted to absorb the film.
Right.
I wanted to see it and then make a valid judgment on it and then come and talk to you about it.
It didn't go very well, did it?
No, it didn't.
So you went to the wrong film. You left halfway through, so you can't even tell me whether it's worth going to see.
No, it's not.
You thought the first film was about a werewolf.
Yeah,
I don't think. I think Barry Norman's got to worry about.
It's true. It was. Anyway, listen. What were you up to at the weekend? Well, I was trying to find the right film to watch.
I did lots of different things this weekend, but one of the highlight or the low light, as you might describe it, was going to IKEA.
Oh,
you might have seen my tweet from IKEA. It's one of those things that you kind of have to do as a course of, particularly when you've moved house and you get some new furniture.
It's like Santa's grotto.
I get talked into it about 4 times a year, and of course it's terrible. I mean, only a woman could get this to the point where it does become like torture because I don't put anything together. Basically, I don't do any of that. Because it's not my. It's not my forte.
I've had a few bookcases from IKEA.
Bookcases are easy.
Are they called Billy Boy or something?
Yeah, the Billy bookcases. Yeah, anyone can do those. I mean, my 6-year-old could probably put that together.
Right. Yeah.
But anything a bit more complicated, like a wardrobe or a chest of drawers.
Well, I get somebody else to do it. I get a builder guy in to do it.
Well, I get the other person in my house to do it, basically, and she's much better at it than I am. But she'd actually, believe it or not, taken a delivery of a load of stuff from IKEA the previous day. Because, finally got online, finally got Wi-Fi, so she's ordered loads of stuff. But for some reason, they don't deliver certain products. Now, I don't understand why you'd have a delivery service that only delivers certain things.
What sort of things don't they deliver?
Well, they don't deliver wardrobes, for example. So you have to go and pick up the wardrobe, right?
Well, the wardrobe's huge. You can't even get a wardrobe in your car, can you?
Well, I've got a big car, so I can get it in there.
Right.
But the point is that, they don't deliver that. But also, the one thing they had delivered, which was some kind of basket thing to put shoes in, she decided it was the wrong colour. So we had to take that back. So we put that in the back of the car, drove all the way to Essex to go, it's about an hour away, to Lakeside to go there. And, of course, they didn't have the replacement colour that she wanted, so we had to take that all the way back again. Meantime, she bought a load of stuff for this wardrobe, which came in about 55 different parts, got it home, and it was the wrong wardrobe. Doesn't fit hangers. Can't get hangers in it.
You had to take it back?
Well, no, because we're now just going to keep it. But apparently it's a kid's wardrobe, so it's not deep enough to put real hangers in. You can only put child's hangers in it.
That's a mess.
I know.
That is a mess.
It's a total mess. So now we have to go back to IKEA to get the right wardrobe. And then bring that back. It's an absolute nightmare.
I have to say, mate, sometimes you take the mickey out of me and my domestic arrangements and all that, but that is chaos.
But this is something that every man has to do at some point or other.
No, I have never, ever had problems shopping. When I go into somewhere...
you don't live with anybody else.
And I know what I want, I go in and I get it. But IKEA, I have to admit, it's like Santa's grotto. You go in at the start and you come out at the end, and there is no escape in the middle. And heaven forbid
walking the wrong way as well, because everybody walks in the same direction. And if you try and walk in the opposite direction...
It's like that scene from that film.
It is, yeah, it is.
What's that film?
That film from Turkey, Midnight Express.
Midnight Express, that's right. Yeah, you go round the wrong way and everybody goes mad.
Yeah, very worrying, very worrying indeed.
But,
lots more for us to talk about. We've got to take a little break here. Mike Perry and Mike Graham back next. This is Talk Sports Extra Time. I'm Mike Graham. He is Mike Porky Parry. We've been talking about a great many things. And you mentioned the Wolf Man of Wall Street, as you mentioned it. And so you went and saw this movie, American Hustle, because they had a guy with a beard in it. I saw a really interesting story yesterday about beards. Apparently, there's a real beard craze going on now. You've always had a beard, haven't you? I mean, I don't know if I don't think I've ever known you not to have one. I think you told me you shaved it off a couple of times, but I'm not sure if I ever saw that. But apparently, it started by Jeremy Paxman. You might remember when Jeremy Paxman grew a beard last year. Yeah. And there was so much comment about it on Twitter.
Pretty feeble
and loads of people. And I've said to you before that a lot more footballers now have got beards. There's loads of footballers now who seem to have facial hair of one kind or another. But there's a guy called Will King, who's the chief executive of King of Shaves, which you probably have heard of. You know, it's like a shaving gel. He says that the whole business is kind of in a crisis because of the recession, but also because so many men have just decided not to bother shaving anymore, and so sales of shaving gel are way down the dunny.
And they blamed it on Paxman, didn't they?
Well, they did, yeah. But that's the thing. I mean, why do you think so many... Are you seeing more people with beards?
No, not really. I think it's a trend, and I don't think it's beard. I think it's stubble. I think these guys now have designer stubble. There was a guy tonight at the Ballon d'Or Awards, and he was Afghanistan. Yeah. And Afghanistan won the Peace Prize.
No, they didn't win the Peace Prize. They won the Fair Play Award.
Oh, well, the same thing. Fair Play Award, yeah, the Peace Prize. Because Afghans...
It's not the Nobel honours you're looking at.
No, I know, but I think because Afghans had such a troubled history over the last decade or something, they thought, this is a good idea to give it to Afghanistan.
Well, I assume they must have had a reason for giving them a Fair Play Award as well.
Raise morale.
Must have played in a very fair way.
Yeah, I'm sure they have. Anyway, the point of my story is a guy went up and accepted the award. I mean, he had, a real good sort of 3 or 4 days of stubble, which seems to be the designer thing to do. But I don't understand why the gel sales have gone down, because even though I've had a beard, as you quite rightly say, for most of my adult life, you still have to trim it and keep it in shape.
You don't need gel for that, do you?
Of course you do.
Scissors?
No.
Which part of your face do you actually shave? Because it doesn't look like you shave any of it.
I shave around my neck so that you've got a nice, line under your chin, so to speak.
Under your 2 chins.
I tell you what, have you ever heard the expression about people in glass houses?
Yeah, I have,
mate?
yeah.
You've got about 8 chins, and that's no exaggeration. I mean, your face is like a real ball of blubber compared to mine.
Well, it may well be. So I don't disguise it with hair.
I don't disguise it with hair.
Yes, you do.
It's hirsute, it's the way women like me to look.
Is it?
And
why can't you find one to take to the movies then? None of them could spare the time.
That's a bit harsh. And also, you have to shave your cheeks.
Share your licorice all sorts with.
That's right.
And your dotage.
That's right. And also your cheeks, you see, because you don't want your hair to go right up to your eyes, do you? Because then you would look like a wolf man.
No, then you really would, yeah. It doesn't grow on your cheeks, does it?
It does, yeah, of course it does.
Really?
Yeah, you have to.
Well, like above the level of your moustache.
Oh, definitely, above the level of my cheekbone.
That's very worrying.
So you have to do that. Also, you have
to
take
hormones for that,
and you have to see here, just below my gob.
Yeah,
my lips, actually, my mouth. There's 2 sort of white bits there because that's the sort of curvature of the beard under the lower lip. You see what I mean?
So it's quite, but you don't use much gel for that, surely. I mean, that's the reason. I mean, if you were shaving yourself every day, you would use a lot more gel.
No, you do, because you put the gel all over your beard, and then you don't use scissors like you've just talked about. You actually use the razor to keep it all even.
Why would you put the gel on parts of your beard you're not going to shave?
But you do. You see,
Why?
You take the.
Surely you put the gel where you want to shave.
Yeah, you do. But you put it on the rest of your beard as well because look, you've got hair on top of your head, and you've got a beard, you've got to wash it every day, so you put gel on and all that kind of stuff, right? See. And do it like that.
So you do this in the shower then?
Well, I usually do it before.
You really are sounding like Sven,
No, I do it before I get in the shower.
Right.
You do all the facial stuff first, get in the shower, and then whoosh, soon as
And do you have to put any astringent on it or anything like that?
Astringent?
Astringent, yeah. Skin tightening, lotion.
No, what would I need that for?
Well, because some people say that you get a beard burn or you can get,
Well, funny thing is, sorry, strange noises. I read that Ringo Starr shaved his beard off after 25 years, and he said his doctor said his skin was very sensitive. He said it was like liver.
Yeah.
Now, I went to the...
like liver?
Yeah, he said it was like liver. Honestly, he said it had the texture of liver, which is odd. But
that is very odd.
I went to...
Calves liver?
I don't know.
Calves liver is quite sort of tender.
Anyway, I remember being in St Lucia once, on a sort of, a break, and I thought, I know what could be wrong with me. Because hair and a beard covers your face, it could well be that you're short of vitamin D. Because vitamin D comes from sunshine on your skin.
Yeah.
Do you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
You did know that? Yeah, right. So I thought all these years. So what I did is I shaved it off. It's very hard to shave off. You can't just do it with a razor. You've got to cut it very, close crop first and then do it very gently
with scissors.
and all that. with scissors first and then with a razor, and I did that, and then I went out in the sun and I got sunburn.
Well, that's an idiotic thing to do, because obviously your skin is going to be very, very...
It was very sensitive. So I thought what I'd do is, because I didn't want to look stupid and the rest of my face was a darker colour than where I just shaved my beard off, I went out, laid by the swing... I went out...
Did you see that picture of the golfer, by the way, over the weekend? It was a picture of... I can't remember which golfer it was from the US Tour, and he's got no hair at all, right? And he's wearing a golf cap. So he took his golf cap off, and the whole top of his head was completely white, like a dome, and the rest of him was brown.
Oh, really?
Amazing.
A really silly thing to do. So I went, lay down on a sun lounger and directly put my face into the sun, because I thought this will instantly make all my face look the same colour, and I got terrible sunburn. The next day...
I'm not surprised. Did you put any, suntan oil on it?
No, because I thought that might, stop it. And what happened is, my face swelled up like a bag of water, where my beard used to be.
Yeah.
And then a nurse had to treat I had burns,
Yeah, there's a picture of Stuart Sink. It was Stuart Sink, the golfer.
God.
Isn't that amazing? We should tweet that out.
Crikey, he looks
anything like it.
Look, he's rubbed flour all over his head.
I know. It's
How
incredible
bizarre
picture.
Is that? Absolutely bizarre, yeah. But
you're lucky you didn't do yourself some lasting harm.
Well,
you scarred your face over there. Your skin could have been scarred.
To this day, doctors have warned me I may have triggered, the cancer gene or something like that in my face, skin cancer, melanoma, call it what you will, because one blast of those rays for a couple of hours, which is what I thought would just tan it nicely, could have been deadly. So you've got to be very, very careful.
Funnily enough, you mentioned St. Lucia. The one and only time I almost had a beard was when I was in St. Lucia, when I lived in the States, and I went on this yachting holiday. We were for 10 days on a yacht, and it took off from St. Lucia. We went to Mustique and Bequia and all these kind of places, St. Vincent.
Yeah.
Fantastic trip. A massive, great sort of 60-foot yacht.
St. Bart's is the best of the lot, isn't it?
Well, we weren't anywhere near St. Bart's.
Well,
we were in the Windward Islands.
Well, St. Bart's is in the Caribbean, isn't it?
So the Caribbean is a huge place.
Yeah, all right.
You can't just go, let's sail to St. Bart's. It took us a day to get from St. Lucia to St. Vincent.
Oh, really?
A day's sail. Well, you wouldn't know about that.
St. Martin's is the nearest one to St. Bart's.
Yeah, well, that's in the Virgin Islands.
No, it's not.
That's on the other side, isn't it?
I've been to the Virgin Islands, mate. I've stayed on Necker, as I've told you, which is Branson's Island.
Well, yeah, I know, but all of that's a long way away from where I was. But the point was, because I was on a boat, I didn't bother shaving for about 10 days, and I actually grew a bit of a beard. And you know what colour it was?
No,
it was reddish.
Well, perhaps,
almost the same.
Perhaps that's
colour
your
as yours
Scottish heritage. Perhaps your Scottish heritage coming out. You see, my father had ginger hair until he lost all his hair when he was 28. But he fought in the war. He'd been a war hero, you see, and I think it was the shock and the stress and all that kind of stuff. And my hair was so red when I was a kid. My mum said that people used to stop with me in the pram in the street and literally...
Because they thought you were a stoplight.
used to point at my head and say, I've never seen such red hair in all my life. It was literally red.
Well, people will be pointing at Stuart Sink if he goes out without his hat on coming up. Here's another weird story that I spotted over the weekend I thought I should talk to you about. Taxidermy.
Taxidermy.
Right? People stuffing animals. Now, you wouldn't have thought that this would be something that would become a pastime or a hobby for people, but apparently many young people, people in their 20s, are taking up taxidermy, right? And in order to do that, they're taking these courses on the internet, or they're getting, a starter kit for taxidermy.
They're stuffing rats.
And they're stuffing mice and rats.
Yeah.
I've never heard anything like that.
It's horrible. And wasn't there one group of students who tried to stuff a lion or something?
No, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. I mean, I just can't believe that. Have you, every horror film usually centres somewhere in a room.
Wall Street.
Yeah, Wall Street, yeah. Centres in a room where there are all these stuffed birds, aren't there? With the evil eyes.
It's
and all
interesting,
that kind
actually,
of stuff.
how, when, now that I've got young kids and taking them to museums and things, I mean, now, generally speaking, you don't see much of that. I took them to the Natural History Museum not that long ago.
Right.
And they've got loads and loads of stuffed animals there because it all goes back to the Victorian times. And now it's kind of like, it's hard to explain to them why that's all there because they don't expect to see that stuff.
Well, do you expect to see what? Animals?
They don't expect to see stuffed animals. I mean, I know they're going to see dinosaur bones and they're going to see skeletons and all of that, but they've got this whole section where they've got polar bears, they've got, deer, they've got even things like shrews, they've got every kind of animal you can imagine.
Interesting.
And they're all in glass cases.
It's interesting what you say about that. The World Wildlife Fund and all this kind of stuff. I mean, I know this sounds a bit callous and cruel, but, talking about taxidermy and stuffing animals...
what you say sounds callous and cruel.
Stuffing animals for future generations to be able to, admire, like dinosaurs and all that. I mean...
they don't stuff dinosaurs, do they?
Well, no, they get dinosaur skeletons, don't they?
Yeah.
And they sort of rebuild them.
Yeah, but they find those. Those are fossils. I mean,
sure, yeah. But what I'm saying is, would the world be a worse place if... because of poachers and evil people, suddenly lions were wiped out, would the world be a worse place?
Yeah, of course it would, yeah.
Why?
Well, why would you want to wipe out an entire species of animals?
Well, I don't want to.
Lions are the kings of the jungle. They're a magnificent animal.
I don't want to.
I think the idea that some of these people ship them into Texas and places like that and have people paying thousands of dollars to go and shoot them is a disgrace.
Oh, no, well, that's disgusting. That's absolutely disgusting. But what I'm saying
you're
is...
saying that if it was to be the case that they died off because of that would be all right.
No, I'm not saying it's all right. But what I'm saying is, mankind's got to look after a lot of problems of his own, like, people who are starving and all that kind of stuff.
Well, you've got to try and do what you can to preserve the the ecology of the world.
I totally agree. Yeah, for instance, why is everybody so upset about oil drilling in the Arctic, for instance? Nobody lives there, so if
a lot of animals live there.
No, they don't.
Yeah, they do.
Well, a few polar bears.
Yeah,
that's about it.
Yeah, penguins and things.
They're
in Antarctica.
All right. Well, the Arctic's a big place. What I'm saying is, I don't understand why all these environmentalists say you can't drill in the Arctic because the Arctic's full of white snow and oil is black, and it would actually make it look quite messy. No,
well, that's not why they're complaining.
Yes,
they're complaining because of the damage it's doing to the environment.
What environment? Well, there's no environment up there.
If things go wrong, I mean, you saw what happened with the Exxon Valdez in Alaska. You saw what happened in the Gulf of Mexico.
But that wouldn't matter in the Arctic.
When that BP thing went wrong.
That wouldn't matter in the Arctic.
Of course it would matter.
No, it wouldn't. Nobody lives there.
Well, it'd pollute everything.
It wouldn't. What would it pollute? It wouldn't pollute anybody's water.
You're like some Victorian who thinks that the sea is somewhere to dump a load of stuff.
No.
Because don't worry, it's only the sea.
What I'm saying is you should drill hundreds of wells in the Arctic because actually you're not ruining anybody's environment because nobody lives there, so they haven't got an environment.
Well,
full stop.
Well, that's a ridiculous argument.
No, it's not a ridiculous argument. Sometimes the only way to get to the Arctic is by a nuclear submarine bashing its way through the ice.
Or an ice-breaking ship.
Yeah.
There was that story the other week of the Russian ship
where they all got stuck.
There.
And a Chinese ship got stuck.
Yeah.
Now, if the Arctic is that remote, what is the point of saying we must preserve the Arctic? It's the last wilderness on Earth. Well, if it's a wilderness...
that's exactly why. It's the last wilderness on Earth.
But if it's a wilderness and it's got billions of barrels
why don't you
of oil...
just build a load of flats there and send people to live there and you could rent them out to them and make some kind of profit from it?
Because
how about that? Why don't you do that instead?
Ridiculous statement, because it's too cold and there's no environment.
Well, it's warmer than it is in Chicago at the moment.
Yeah, it is actually. There's no environment to support people up there, so that's a ludicrous statement. What I'm saying is the best place to start drilling for oil is in the Arctic because it is so remote it wouldn't bother anybody.
Well, who's going to live there to do the drilling then?
Well, listen, who's going to live in the North Sea to do the drilling, you fool? You have to erect drilling platforms, don't you, to get the oil out of the ground. Same as you do in the middle of the North Sea. So you go there for, 6 weeks on, 6 weeks off, all that kind of stuff. That's the way to do it. And then the price of oil in this world would halve in price.
There's lots of reasons why the price of oil is artificially inflated.
That means the world will become a much wealthier place.
I've got a much better idea. Why don't we get these scientists to actually come up with a better idea than petrol and oil to make everything run?
Well, one of these days
for example, water. For example, electricity.
Well,
surely you could come up with a better idea.
One of these days they will. But if we went and just sunk about 2,000 drills into the Arctic, I couldn't care less if the oil spilt all over the white snow.
Really?
It would make the world wealthier. It would save a lot of people from starving to death all the time. It would make the whole world a better place for
nonsense.
No, it would for disadvantaged people to live. And yet we kowtow to a few environmentalists, maybe a handful, maybe 12 or 15, who keep the rest of the world in poverty through forcing the price of oil up to unreasonable levels when it could be so cheap if we drilled in the Arctic.
Deary me. Some people thought my idea of red carding referees was bad. That is the nuttiest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Mr. Mike Porky Parry.